protecting their rights to be involved in their children's education, making sure that health care is affordable, and we do that through competition and transparency, not through government control and bureaucracy. Fighting against socialism across the planet, including, by the way, here in the United States, and staying and sticking with our allies and supporting our allies and confronting the enemies of freedom around the planet. That is what the Republicans stand for. And no better example of how those policies work than the great state of Florida, the free state of Florida that has become a shining beacon for the world and for the country. And people are voting with their feet, coming to Florida precisely because of the policies of freedom that have ensured prosperity and freedom for all in this great state. Gracias a todos ustedes por estar acá. Es un privilegio y un honor poder participar con ustedes hoy. Nosotros los republicanos en la Cámara de Representantes pensamos que la libertad es el tema principal. Eso es lo que garantiza la prosperidad de nuestros hijos, de nuestro futuro. Lo que garantiza prosperidad no es el tamaño de la burocracia, es la libertad que todos disfrutamos. Y mejor ejemplo que el estado de Florida no existe a través de la nación. La razón que todo el mundo se quiere mudar a Florida ahora es precisamente por esa política de libertad, no de burocracia, no de gobierno, pero de libertad. Garantizar que los padres y las madres sean los que decidan el futuro de sus hijos, no la burocracia. Garantizar que no haya censura de parte de las compañías estas enormes de tecnología. Garantizar y hacer que el costo del cuidado médico sea accesible para todos. Que eso se hace no con crear más burocracia, más gobierno, pero por la libertad, transparencia, competencia. Así que nosotros sabemos que lo que funciona es la política de la libertad, no de la burocracia y del socialismo. Pero también enfrentarse a los enemigos de la libertad y de los Estados Unidos a través de todo el mundo. No solamente a través de todo el mundo, pero particularmente en este hemisferio. Y apoyar a nuestros aliados, a nuestros fuertes aliados. Eso es lo que es ser republicano. Eso es lo que garantiza la prosperidad. La libertad es lo que garantiza la prosperidad y eso es lo que los republicanos pensamos y lo que yo creo que define al Partido Republicano. Ahora es un privilegio, it's my great pleasure to introduce a dear friend of mine who I sometimes don't know if I should call him congressman, mayor, but I know that the one that he's probably most proud of is chief, fire chief, my dear friend and colleague, Carlos Jimenez. Chief.
Thank you, Mario. And as you can see, Mario and I are pretty happy people. We're pretty happy people because we live in this great state of Florida, right? That's right. The free state of Florida. And so I want all of you that came from somewhere else, welcome. Welcome to our beautiful state. I hope you're having a great time. And Mario spoke about freedom, and I'll be speaking a little bit about something else, which is our commitment to America. The Republican commitment to America also includes an economy that's strong. And we will do that by fighting inflation and lowering the cost of living, by stopping the reckless spending of this administration, the Biden administration, and the Democrats, trillions and trillions of dollars that have led directly to inflation, which we told them was going to lead to inflation, but they said, don't worry, it's only going to be transitory. Well, it's not transitory, is it? We're here with inflation. It's a tax. It's a tax on everybody, but it's also a tax that really hurts the poor and the middle class the most. And we Republicans are totally against that. We will also secure a better economy by making America energy independent and reducing gas prices. Again, the Biden administration, their disastrous energy policies, destroying our energy, the ability of America to not only be energy independent, but energy dominant, is something that, quite frankly, I just don't understand, and I don't think a lot of Americans understand that either. And then finally, we will secure our supply chain and end our dependence on China. We need to bring back our supply chains back to the United States or back to the Americas so that what happened during COVID-19 will never, ever happen again. Never, ever should we be dependent on a foreign adversary. And believe me, it's a foreign adversary. for our supply chains, for our medicines, for all of the goods that we use, daily. We can bring back those industries to America, create better jobs here in America, but also those industries that can't return to America can also return to Central and South America, and then better their quality of living, which is something that we are prepared to do, and something that we are prepared with legislation to bring our supply chain back to America and nearshore it also in Central and South America to improve their quality of life to our neighbors, which, by the way, I believe the United States has for far too long ignored or not given as much attention as they rightly deserve to our own neighborhood, to our own hemisphere, the people of Central and South America, our neighbors, and it's also our duty to see what we can do to improve their quality of life. And so, estoy aquí, muchas gracias. Me llamo Carlos Jiménez, represento el Distrito 28 del Estado de la Florida, que es parte de Miami y también Los Cayos. Estoy muy contento de vivir aquí con mi colega Mario Díaz-Balart en el Estado libre de Florida. Y los republicanos, nosotros estamos comprometidos a tener una economía mejor para todos los americanos. Primero, tenemos que bajar los costos, bajar la inflación que tenemos hoy en los Estados Unidos por las pólizas del presidente Biden. El mal gasto del dinero del contribuyente, trillones y trillones de dólares que se han malgastado, trillones de dólares que hemos aumentado la deuda nacional de los Estados Unidos, que está haciendo ¿qué? Estamos robando el futuro de nuestros niños y nuestros nietos. Eso es muy simple. Estamos robando a ellos su futuro, la capacidad de ellos tener el dinero necesario para sus programas que ellos necesitan en el futuro. Eso es lo que estamos haciendo hoy. Y eso es lo que está haciendo el presidente Biden hoy, los demócratas. Segundo, tenemos que bajar los precios de la gasolina. Tenemos que no ser dependientes de nadie en lo que es la gasolina y energía. Nosotros no solamente podemos ser dominantes o independientes en gasolina y energía, podemos ser dominantes en el mundo. Y esta administración está tratando de matar la industria petrolera aquí en los Estados Unidos. Y finalmente, tenemos que fortalecer nuestra cadena de suministros y terminar nuestra dependencia del Partido Comunista de China. Y muchos de los proyectos que tenemos aquí, que vamos a introducir en el Congreso, es para devolver las industrias, que tenemos muchas industrias, demasiadas industrias en China, devolverlas a los Estados Unidos, y si no a los Estados Unidos, aquí en nuestro hemisferio, para ayudar a nuestros vecinos con mejores trabajos y aumentar la calidad de vida de nuestros vecinos. Por muchos años, demasiados años, hemos ignorado, no hemos dado mucha atención a nuestro vecindario, a nuestros vecinos, y es nuestro deber ayudarlos a ellos para aumentar su calidad de vida. Ahora es un placer para introducir a la representante de Texas, Mónica de la Cruz. It's my pleasure now to introduce Texas 21, a new member of Congress and a great member of Congress, Mónica de la Cruz.
Good morning and thank you, Congressman Jimenez. You know, if there's one thing that all of us standing here have in common is that our families came from countries where they had one set of rules for los compadres of government and another set of rules for everybody else. But in this country, under a House majority, we have a government that is going to be held accountable by we the people. Nuestro país, el pueblo, es quien manda. And the government accountability begins with a Congress that actually works and is open to the people. We have eliminated proxy voting. Now, just like any other job, members of Congress have to show up to work in person. And we are also ensuring that we have strong congressional oversight that brings accountability to every federal agency. All Americans, and particularly Hispanics, understand that government must be transparent. And our communities understand this. Look, they're tired of the double standards and the hidden agendas of the Biden administration on everything from its failure to secure the border record inflation, and the blatant incompetence of the Department of Transportation to the latest effort to impose radical gender ideology on our children. Last week, we saw that there were hearings from Homeland Security in McAllen, Texas, Texas 15, my district, where the Chief of Border Patrol said that our border is not operationally secure. This is what the American people have seen over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, and it is certainly something that the people in South Texas know and understand. This is not acceptable. This is why in my county that is a large part Hispanic, over 80% Hispanic, did we see in 2016 in the county of Hidalgo, where Hillary Clinton won by close to 40%, in 2022 we saw a close to 30% swing towards the Republicans. Why? Because Hispanics are common sense voters, and we are taking notice. That's why Republicans have made record gains, like I just told you about in our communities, and we're going to continue to build upon that. Now, I'm going to hand this off to my fellow freshman here, my colleague, Mr. Congressman Juan Ciscomanti, who's going to talk about how we're going to keep our nation safe and secure. Thank you.
Gracias, Monica. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Buenos días. Gracias por acompañarnos. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. And I want to thank Chairwoman Stefanik also for inviting us and putting this together and giving us an opportunity here to share our thoughts and our input on these important issues. As part of the commitment to America, House Republicans are delivering a nation that is safe. That is one of the core principles of the commitment to America, and that means securing our border and protecting communities across America. As a representative of a district that is a border district, I hear from my constituents every single day. Families, business owners, people of every background are having their lives interrupted by the dangers we're facing in all our neighborhoods. This week, actually this past week, last week I met with a group of Hispanic business leaders, and we had a conversation in Spanish, and they told me that the number one issue that they're facing is increased crime in their communities. En esta reunión que tuve con los empresarios en español, fue claro que el tema número uno que están ellos enfrentando, no mencionaron ningún otro tema como tal vez teníamos por idea que lo iban a hacer, tal vez impuestos u otros temas, pero el tema que más les preocupa a ellos en este momento es el tema del crimen. El tema de la falta de policías, el tema de homelessness, temas que están simplemente afectando su negocio, afectando sus vidas, afectando sus escuelas. The number one issue that I heard from our Hispanic business owners in Spanish was crime. Homelessness, lawlessness, the lack of police support, all these issues that are impacting the community, including safety in schools and so on. And this shouldn't surprise us, because when people ask me all the time, what are the issues impacting the Hispanic community? I often tell them that there are no Hispanic-specific issues. There are the same issues that are impacting our Hispanic, Spanish-speaking businesses that are impacting everybody else. Because we're all living in the same community. And this is exactly what's impacting them. Just last month, I was honored to welcome Speaker McCarthy and 3 of our new House colleagues to my state of Arizona, so they can have a first-hand look at the border and what's happening there, specifically in one of my counties, in Cochise County. And the Speaker's visit there makes it clear that this is a priority for our House majority. And I'm confident that with Speaker McCarthy and our House colleagues, what they heard and what they saw, they left with a lasting impression, and as we look to tackle and find solutions to these pressing issues. Now listen, what we have at the southern border right now in terms of security is a crisis. Make no mistake about it. That's exactly what it is. Lo que tenemos en la frontera del sur ahorita es una crisis en el lado de la seguridad. It's also important to note that when we talk border security, that's different than when we talk trade and commerce, and it's different than when we talk immigration. We sometimes start mixing these 3 different buckets of border issues. And I come from an area, by living on the border, that we can easily differentiate between when we're talking trade and commerce, when we're talking immigration policy, and when we're talking border security. So this crisis that we're facing is in the area of border security. And it's not just us saying it, it's the actual Border Patrol and the chiefs saying this as well. Just look at the numbers. In drug seizures, gotaways, and migrant deaths as well. That's one issue that we don't talk about often. The humanitarian piece, every record has been broken on the security side, but including migrant deaths. And that's a tragedy that we should be focusing on as well. They're all at historic numbers, and our Border Patrol is overwhelmed, and they don't feel the support. One of the most devastating statistics from my own district, in the county of Pima, my largest county in my district, fentanyl overdose deaths are now the leading cause of death among teenagers. That's tragic. And as a parent of 6 myself, this is the kind of issue that keeps you up at night. So we have to band together to look at the real issue and what we're facing. And I am confident that under Speaker McCarthy's leadership, the House majority is focused on this issue with a clear understanding of what the issue of border security means. Friends, I came as an immigrant when I was a young kid. I went through the immigration process, became a U.S. citizen in this process. The first time that I entered on Capitol Hill in 2003, I was still a resident, and I had a green card. 20 years later, I'm back at the Hill as a member, but instead of a green card, I have a green pin. This is what the American dream can do. This is the country that we're fighting for, that we must continue to keep safe. But these policies of ignoring the situation at the border are putting the American dream more out of reach for more people by attacking our safety. Necesitamos seguir luchando por el sueño americano que le ha dado la oportunidad a tantos de nosotros de estar en este país y poder perseguir nuestros sueños. Como yo, como un emigrante que vino a este país como un niño, en el 2003, aún en mi pasantía en el Capitolio, todavía era residente con mi green card, y ahora 20 años después soy miembro del Congreso como ciudadano de Estados Unidos. Solamente este país de las oportunidades que acabo de describir. Yo estoy orgulloso de ser un congresista y de defender a toda la población y de seguir dando prioridad a los temas que son importantes. Muchas gracias. Y ahora, de vuelta, el congresista Mario Díaz Bogar.
We'll take some questions. Sí, comenzamos con...
Sí, bueno, quería hablar del tema de la frontera, porque se ha dicho que la política exterior de esta administración justamente ha dañado a los países latinoamericanos. Vienen más, se está dando un mensaje de que la frontera cualquiera puede llegar, esos gigantes están muriendo, tenemos la crisis del fentanilo. ¿Cómo pueden hacer a través del Congreso para hablar de temas como la reforma del asilo, lo que se aplicaba en la administración Donald Trump es la que se sigue aplicando, el título 42 está por vencer? ¿Qué respuesta le pueden dar? Y otro tópico rapidito, se dice que la investigación al presidente Donald Trump se parece a lo que ha pasado en algunos países latinoamericanos, donde los adversarios políticos son perseguidos a través del sistema judicial.
Okay, so the first one in English is it appears that what's happening with Donald Trump and the supposed indictment that's coming maybe tomorrow. The question was, could it be somewhat political? So I'll answer that first. Maybe somebody else can come in. Okay. Yes, it seems rather political. Here we have a DA that is used to taking felonies and reducing them to misdemeanors, and then we have a non-crime being elevated to a felony. Yeah, it seems to be very, very political. Somebody who was backed by George Soros. So all of that is very suspect. And also, he is taking up he's going to be indicting the president, former president, on something that other prosecutors have been looking at for years, something that happened apparently back to 2016, 7 years ago. So statute of limitations is over. There's no indication, well, he can't really use federal law because he's a state prosecutor. He can't prosecute federal crimes, supposedly. So we need to see what the indictment's all about, but it certainly smells like it's political. Así, en español, tenemos un fiscal que todos los días baja felonías a delitos y ahora ha elevado un no delito a una felonía. Y es alguien que tuvo el apoyo de George Soros y parece todo que esto es político. Y eso es lamentable que eso pase y suceda aquí en los Estados Unidos. And again, eso es y como en países de Latinoamérica. Así que, another thing that I didn't say, and that is a travesty if it is a political witch hunt, it's a travesty it's happening here in the United States, because that's what happens in third world countries. Is that what we're getting? Is that what we're converting into? And so, no. And so, you know, I think Speaker McCarthy and the entire Republican conference is very disturbed by this. And if we do think that it's political, and we need to do something about it. Now, your first question on the border. You know, I'm part of the Homeland Security Committee. We were down in Texas, in McAllen, last week. We had a hearing. No Democrats showed up. A hearing, an official hearing. No Democrat showed up. Why? Because they were going to get embarrassed. Why? Because their entire narrative as to why that border is not secure was blown up right in their face. Because the chief of the Customs and Border Protection Agency, the chief, the head person, the head administrator, outside of the secretary, which is a political office, right, said that we do not have control of 5 of the 9 sectors on our southern border. Admitted it. After 2 years of the Secretary of Homeland Security saying that, well, no, we have complete control of our borders. Well, I guess we would all agree with that because we were blind, but we're not. We can see with our 2 eyes what's going on at the border. And then not only is that a travesty because so many migrants have died, you know, record number of migrants have died trying to make that crossing, but also those migrants, many of those migrants are held in this country as indentured servants, modern day slavery. In order to pay the debt that they have to pay to the cartels, that they have to pay in order to cross the border. And those cartels are making over $1 billion a month. $1 billion a month, which then finances their ability to create the drugs that are killing our children and our young people at a rate of over 100,000 a year. Though the chemical precursors, the chemicals that they need to make those drugs are coming from China, our adversary, and this administration does nothing about it. The first job of government is to protect its people, and this administration is failing miserably at it. En español. Nosotros tuvimos una reunión en McAllen, Texas, la semana pasada, cuando ningún demócrata, que era una reunión oficial, un hearing oficial, ninguno de ellos estuvieron ahí. No estaban cumpliendo con su deber. ¿Por qué? Porque iban a escuchar cosas que son en contra de lo que ellos están diciendo. Ellos están diciendo que los agentes de Customs and Border Patrol necesitan más recursos, necesitan más agentes, más cosas, más tecnología para parar lo que está sucediendo en la frontera. Pero el testigo del jefe dijo 2 cosas. Primero, que no tenía control de 5 de los 9 sectores de la frontera. Y segundo, que de verdad la causa principal por qué tenemos esta crisis en la frontera es por las pólizas del presidente Biden, que la cambió el primer día que tomó posesión de la presidencia. Y eso es lo que ha causado esta crisis. Y por eso tenemos números récord de inmigrantes que se están muriendo en la frontera. Y también muchos de esos inmigrantes le tienen que pagar, tienen que estar aquí sirviendo a los carteles porque le tienen que pagar la deuda que le deben los carteles por el pasaje para los Estados Unidos. Y los carteles están ganando más de $1.000 millones al mes, que está financiando su esfuerzo también para la producción de las drogas que nos están matando aquí a nosotros en los Estados Unidos. Eso es un fracaso completamente. El deber del presidente Biden, el deber de todos nosotros es la protección de nuestros ciudadanos. Y esta administración ha sido un fracaso en eso. Gracias.
Usted es un padre de 6 hijos. Los hispanos, las mujeres hispanas comprenden el 20% de los abortos en este país. Pero los hispanos también estamos en contra, por lo menos, de restricción de aborto. El Congreso 118 ha aprobado el anti-infanticidio, ¿no? Anti-infanticidio, la de ningún demócrata votó por eso. ¿Estaría trabajando este Congreso para aprobar algún tipo de edad como lo propone Grant, de un límite de 15 semanas?
Pues mira, con respecto a lo del aborto, es un tema muy sensible, es un tema que tenemos que tratarlo con mucha sensibilidad. Soy padre de 6, como mencionas, 3 de ellos son niñas, tengo 3 hombres, 3 mujeres. Quiero que mis hijas crezcan en un país donde tienen la decisión propia de poder decidir acerca de su propia salud, y es lo que queremos apoyar. Al mismo tiempo, no apoyo yo medidas extremas como lo que se ha propuesto por varios demócratas en el sentido de el aborto hasta el 9º mes, por ejemplo. Eso pasa cualquier tipo de razonamiento razonable, pienso yo. Todos queremos que haya opciones para poder proteger y darle prioridad a la salud de las mujeres. Como te digo, mi mamá, mi esposa, mis 3 hijas, tengo 2 hermanas, estoy 100% dedicado a que eso suceda. La medida que tú mencionas es una medida precisamente en contra del infanticidio, en el que si un bebé nace prematuro por medio de un aborto atentado, que se tenga que darle la salud y el cuidado que se le diera a cualquier otra persona a ese bebé. No veo ningún problema yo con ello, yo voté a favor de eso. Tiene razón, fue un voto partidista y tenemos que seguir dando esta conversación de una manera razonable, puesto que son 15 semanas o lo que sea. En el estado de Arizona son 15 semanas, esa es la ley. Y como miembro del gobierno tenemos que dedicarnos y ejercer la ley. Entonces, lo que sea la ley en el estado de Arizona, que ahora está a nivel de estado esto, donde debe de estar, es donde voy a seguir yo apoyando la ley que sea en mi propio estado.
Let's go to the back here and then we'll see.
Thanks, Congressman. You all have a lot of issues you want to talk about here today: immigration, the economy, all these things. And yet, the former president, as was said, is facing this potential amendment. Can you just tell us what is your reaction to his calls for protests, and also just what position do you believe he's holding right now? In your party, is he seen as the head of your party?
2 things. First place, peaceful protests, all of us obviously support and must always protect peaceful protests. As far as what position he holds, he's the former president of the United States. But what we're dealing with here now is a rogue, left-wing, radical prosecutor, who, by the way, refuses to prosecute serious crimes in his state, who now has decided for political reasons to go after a former president. Now, as Congressman Jimenez said, we're used to seeing that in places, in third world countries. But that's something that doesn't happen in this country. And so I'm hoping that that rogue, left-wing, radical prosecutor funded by Soros will take a step back and realize the damage that it does to the country, and that he puts country over his partisan and his political ambitions, because that is clearly a political stunt and not a legal move. And so, obviously I have great respect for the former President of the United States, but as far as, who the leader of the party is, I will tell you right now, I think the leader of the party is the Speaker of the House. It's the highest ranking elected. He's the 2nd vice president of the country, right? 2nd in line for the presidency. But I hope that this rogue left-wing prosecutor does not go forward with something that we are used to seeing in places like Putin's Russia, but that we've never seen in the United States, because that would be destructive.
Last question.
Congresista, se ha hablado mucho de las grandes potencias que representan una amenaza para los Estados Unidos como China y Rusia, pero ¿qué se está haciendo en relación a los vecinos más cercanos, enemigos más cercanos como Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, que se encuentran en situación vulnerable y que ya están siendo abordados por este tipo de daños?
Bueno, como usted sabe, yo nací en Cuba también. Como mi compañero Juan, yo soy inmigrante, vine de Cuba. Cuba siempre está en mi corazón. ¿Qué se tiene que hacer para Cuba? En los Estados Unidos debe tomar la posición que la democracia es lo que manda en nuestro hemisferio. Y hacer todo lo posible para asegurar que todas las naciones en nuestro hemisferio sean de democracias, que tengan elecciones libres, que se pueda expresar libremente, que tiene expresión de tu religión también libre también. Así que cualquier paso que nosotros podemos tomar para ver una Cuba, una Nicaragua, una Venezuela libre y democrática, tenemos que tomar esos pasos. No estoy hablando de Fuerza Armada, pero estamos hablando de todos los pasos necesarios para que también que esos ciudadanos que viven en esos países, que deben de tener esos derechos, que los Estados Unidos tienen que hacer todo lo posible para darles esos derechos, para que ellos puedan entonces tener su libertad.
¿Y quieres hacer
Thank
todo
you
lo posible?
guys. Thank you guys so much.
Yes. Todo lo posible, ¿verdad?
Sí, no, primero nos preocupa el levantamiento unilateral de las sanciones de esta administración. Que desde el primer día, yo tuve una conversación pública, a través de video, ¿no? Pero pública con el secretario de Estado. Le pregunté sobre las sanciones acerca de Venezuela y él públicamente dijo que apoyaba las sanciones y que buscaba formas de incrementar sanciones. Pero semanas después de eso comenzaron a relajar las sanciones unilateralmente a la economía de Venezuela. Eso ha sido el patrón de esta administración, es buscar formas de darle legitimidad, financiamiento, ayuda a los enemigos de la democracia en este hemisferio y a través del mundo. Algo que no tiene ningún sentido. Por lo tanto, nosotros en el Congreso apoyamos no solamente no relajar sanciones, incrementar la presión diplomática, económica, en todo sentido. Y no solamente presionando a esas dictaduras, pero también presionando a nuestros aliados a través del mundo, que se unan a la causa de la libertad. Y seguimos en eso. Pero desafortunadamente en la Casa Blanca tenemos un presidente que parece empecinado en ayudar a los enemigos de la democracia y a los enemigos de los Estados Unidos, no solamente en este hemisferio, y a presionar a los aliados de la democracia y de los Estados Unidos. Pero nosotros en la Cámara tenemos, yo creo que la posición muy clara, que es apoyar la democracia, apoyar la libertad, incrementar presión, no relajarse sanciones unilateralmente y ayudar a nuestros aliados, no a nuestros amigos, algo que el presidente Biden parece estar muy confundido. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Spend lots of money while you're here.